Guys, welcome to Your Best Interviews. My name is Eric Smith. Thank you so much for spending the time with us. I know there's a lot of places you can go, and so I appreciate you spending the time here with me. I know this is stressful. If this is helpful, please share with others. My goal is to help as many people as possible during this time, and thank you for bearing with me. For my co-host, Scotty, today what I want to talk to you about is the resume and the most important parts of a resume when you're building it, right? So I think resume writing is probably one of the more stressful things. I know I hate it, and I've been in the industry a long time. But if you're approaching updating your resume or writing your resume for the first time, I want to talk about the 7 things that are the most important to think about as you're putting your resume together. So the first one, and I think I've talked about this quite a bit, but technology plays such a big factor in your resume, how companies rate and evaluate you, and where that hiring process goes. And so you want to write your resume for robots or for technology, right? Because that is literally your first line of screening that's going to happen is typically AI or an applicant tracking system that's going to read you as a candidate on paper before a human or recruiter or hiring manager ever sees you. And so you need to write your resume for that purpose, right? You need to write it for the technology that's going to read it first. And what I mean by that is just making sure you have the right keywords, making sure that your resume is formatted correctly. So I'm going to get into that, but the first thing to remember is that you're writing your resume for a robot. You're writing it for technology. The second thing you want to think about is you want to simplify your format. So I've got other videos on this, but if you're buying a resume template online and it has a lot of tables or graphics or your picture up in the upper right or left-hand corner, what you need to think about is that, again, an ATS technology is reading your resume, so it doesn't matter how fancy it looks. It might be really, really hard for that system to read you as a candidate, and that could really hurt you. And so what I want to encourage you to do is just have very simple formats. This is not the time to get fancy. You're not going to win anyone over or set yourself apart, in a stack of 100 because no one has a stack. It's all online now. So simple formats. The next key here is simplify your job titles. So if you're somebody who's trying to elevate your job title, or maybe you worked for a company that had, like they call the receptionist the chief first impression officer, or something like that, get rid of those. You want very easy, recognizable titles. Again, because technology, AI is reading your resume, and you want to make it really easy for them to make the leap of what you did before and what you're applying to. So simplify your format, simplify your job titles, make sure that they're very recognizable. Next, for the bullets. So for under work experience, under those simplified job titles, you really want to simplify your bullets. I see this all the time. People get in the habit of trying to overwrite what they did or make it more complicated to seem like, they had a much bigger role. You need to write very, very direct and to the point, but you need to simplify your bullets. If your bullet is a paragraph, you've done something wrong. You really, really need to think to the point exactly what you did, what an outcome was of that role that you're highlighting. So you want to simplify those bullets, again, to the point. The next piece of that is quantify wherever you can. So if you're using bullet points, that's great. Quantify, if you did a project or you worked on a project or you had impact on something, how can you quantify that? Put a number in there. It's a great way for you to stand out, but also for hiring managers, receptionists, or recruiters, to see what your impact is across whatever that role was or whatever you're highlighting within that bullet. So quantify wherever possible. The next 2 keywords. So you want to keyword your resume. Make sure that you've got all the right buzzwords and keywords in there as you're approaching, the job that you really want. You want to make sure that that job description that you're looking at matches a lot of those keywords with your resume, because again, it makes you a stronger candidate. Technology, AI is going to read you as a more relevant candidate. So you want to make sure that you've got those buzzwords, those keywords that companies are using in these job descriptions. You want to make sure that your resume reflects that. And so keyword wherever possible. And then the last one, the most important one, most often overlooked, is spell check. Make sure that you are doing spell check. I know that seems like a no-brainer, but you'd be surprised how many people will miss 1 or 2 things, and that will remove you from the process. Companies look at that as attention to detail. And if you have spelling errors in your resume, you can pretty much guarantee that you're going to be looked at as a candidate that maybe isn't right for that role. And so you need to make sure that you are spell checking. What I recommend is go to a friend, go to 5 friends and say, hey, if you can find a spelling error, I'll pay you $10. And allow them to just go through that thing with a microscope, right? Because they're incentivized to try and spot these things that maybe you've missed when you read through it 10 times. So challenge them. If they can't find it, you're in good shape. If they do find it, it's worth it. I'd pay $10 to know where I have a mistake that's not going to remove me from a process. So let me just summarize really quick because I know I covered a lot here. So the first one is you're writing your resume for technology. You need to remember that. That's the most important thing. So simplify your formats. Make sure you've got recognizable job titles. Simplify your bullets. Quantify wherever you possibly can. Insert your keywords. And then make sure you're spell checking. Good luck, guys. Thanks for bearing with us. Say bye, Scotty.